What made you come up with Rocky Horror?
I was like you. I was an actor in a musical called Hair. Some people asked me to go out to EMI Studios to entertain the staff for a Christmas party, and I wrote science fiction double feature because of movie studio, and I thought, well, you know, I'll write a song about this kind of movies I like, and I'll come up with a few gags and whatnot. And I'll do a 20-minute stretch, and I will test myself to see whether I should stay in show business or go back home and get a job, because I now had a little baby boy. They liked the evening, it was very popular, and when I went home I thought, that's not a bad prologue for a kind of rock and roll B-movie sci-fi kind of show. I got a job down at the Royal Court Theatre with Jim Sharman, who directed Jesus Christ Superstar, and told him about what I was doing. He dragged a young man called Richard Hartley round to my apartment, and I sat there and had an acoustic guitar, and I sang them my songs and talked about it. And they went away, and a week later I got a phone call from Jim, and he said, they've asked me to do another play downstairs at the Royal Court, and I've told them I will, as long as I can have 3 weeks fun upstairs first. So we're on, and I want another 20 pages by the end of the week and another 3 songs.
Wow.
And it went from that, really.
Because originally the show had never had the Time Warp in it, and then you came up.
I'm not quite sure, but Time Warp was written in rehearsal, certainly.
Right.
Touch Me was written in about, I think about half an hour one night.
Really?
Because, well, there was the end of the scene where Janet and Rocky were together, and we had Julie Covington playing our first Janet, and it just seemed, as she went out of the scene, I thought, this is fucking stupid, isn't it? We've got Julie Covington, and she doesn't have a song, and that scene could certainly do with the song. So, you know, went home, and it really was a quick song. I think a lot of writers understand this, that if you've got a deadline, somehow or other your work becomes better because you become more focused, because you have to do it. You know what I mean? If you've got lots and lots of time...
Well, you start overthinking it, don't you?
There we go.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the songs that have managed to stand the test of time?
Well, Noel Coward said, never underestimate the potency of cheap music. And I think they are very simple songs, aren't they? Incredibly simple.
And did you have any inkling when you were writing it that it would be such like an amazing
3 weeks.
lasting?
3 weeks. I thought by 3 weeks, the end of 3 weeks, I'd have thought anybody that wanted to see this would have seen it, or they'd missed it, and we'd be moving on to something else, getting another job.
And 45 years later.
I know.
It's amazing.
When did the audience start reacting?
That kind of basically came off the movie. And with the movie, they were lucky because it was the same movie every night. You know what I mean? The timing was the same, so they could intersperse their kind of journey with something that was always going to be exactly on time.
So what do you have any like advice? Because you've obviously seen the show so many times.
Take it seriously.
Take it seriously.
Have a lovely time, but play it seriously. Don't ever nudge. Don't ever think, put your tongue in your cheek or nudge the audience or do all that.
Well, do you know, every single person I've spoken to and said, "Oh, I'm doing Rocky Horror," every single person has either said, I've always wanted to be in that musical, or if they've been in the musical, said it's the most fun thing I've ever done.
Do you know, that's true. Yeah. The people who never actually go to the musical theatre, like I've got friends who are builders and landscape gardeners and everything. And they go, do you know what my favourite show is? And I go, what's that? Rocky Horror. So when I actually said to them that I'm doing the show, they were like, we're there, and all their mates.
I think 80% of our audience has always been non-theatre goers. Mm-hmm. You know, when you turn up in Brighton, you'll find that the office people working in offices say, Rocky's in town. Why don't we get a team together? And they do. They come in 5s and 6s and whatnot, and they all dress up. The show started as soon as they knocked off work. Really? They go home, shave their legs. That's just the geezers. And have a drink. And by the time they get to the auditorium, the curtains, there's an energy in the auditorium before the curtain even goes up. And when it does, it's kind of like woo. And you can feed off that energy. That's the nicest thing for any actor, is to feed off the energy of the audience.
Absolutely.